And so that was those comments. Now, getting to this whole business, this is called the E-Learning Institute. Probably about 2, maybe 3 years ago, I was asked to be a part of this whole thing. That's when it was starting up. And it was starting up, its founder, its president, what have you, is Heather McDaniel. And Heather and her sister, she's got I believe there's twin sisters, they graduated from the School of Education, and they've gone on to, I know they used to teach in the Orlando area and everything. When I used to go to cluster sites up there to teach, I saw them there and that sort of thing. But Heather has branched out with this business here on her own, and it is thriving like crazy. And you can see that with just going to the website. I'm going to talk about those things that are relative to the publishing and my part in this. But when you're on your own time back and whatever, you want to explore this, the link is there that you want to explore the whole site. But I wanted you to see the whole site and what the possibilities are here with the entire thing, sort of a holistic look, if you will, at the E-Learning Institute. Publish, I took it from there. Publish, present, promote. That's all part of this whole project here. And I have in my slides over there the magazines that are here. I think it's 17 of them, the journals, and to talk about. And I didn't ask her to do this. This has been here for a while, but this is the one here that I am editor of. It's called the Journal of Globalization and Higher Education. Yeah, click here to see all 17 journals. This is Heather McDaniel here, who is the president and the CEO of this outfit. My next slide, but I think I can just put it up there rather than go back to the slides, was to share with you what those 17 are. And let me just back up for a minute. When she asked me to do this, I had never done anything like this. But like you, what's this commercial? Inquiring minds want to know. What is that? I can't remember. My mind's always wanting to know, how do I do something? Or, if I don't know how to do something already, let me learn how to do that, especially if it has anything to do with my passion and my interest. So when I was asked then to be an editor, I've never been an editor of anything before. I think I got all these dissertations or whatever. Is that relative, I say to myself? How does all of this fit? So then I started to ask her, really, because this was at the beginning of everything, what's expected? Well, as with anything new, there was some readjustment. She had put some stuff out there, and then it came back, and the folks that she had on board, they had gotten into that a little bit, and there needed to be some readjustments and whatever like that. So that happened initially. I was there when all of those little changes and everything had to be made so that it stayed in line. Even the process of how you get this whole thing through once it gets submitted and all of that. So now we're rolling really nicely, and I know what I'm supposed to do. It gets peer reviewed before it gets to me, and I do my thing, and we go back, and that sort of thing. So we'll get there. So mine then is, and I say mine, the journal that I'm editor of is among the 17 that's there. And the 17, and we look at those titles, they span a wide range of interests. And I point out the one that I'm working on, but I want to do this overall so you can see where you have the opportunity to go, if that's your interest, to go in that area. And now, rather than going back to the PowerPoint itself, I think I'm just going to click here to view all 17 articles right here. Oh gosh, okay, let me go in here. And sometimes I can't remember my password. This is probably going to be one of the days. See, I've got it saved, and I don't know what my password. Okay, I'm going to do that. It's something like that. I can't remember it because I got it. You know how you have things saved and you don't have to worry. It just pops in there when you want it. So, okay, let me go here because I put them here. There is something called, there's a journal called Virtual Leadership. And all of them have these little kind of acronyms like this. Journal of Elementary and Secondary Education. And I just highlighted this one here, a Journal of Globalization and Higher Education. We don't even try to say the, I know we don't ever try to say the acronym, but it's just good to shorten it whenever you're referring to it. There's a Journal of Online Higher Education. There's something. Journal of Community College Learning, Leadership, and Service. Journal of E-Learning and Online Teaching, Journal of Educational Technology, International Journal of Leadership and Educational Technology, Journal of Business Management. Oh, I'm not doing very well with this. Oh, and Entrepreneurship, Journal of Public Service E-Learning, the Journal of Applied Information Technology Management, Journal of Business Leadership Today, Journal of Social and Cognitive Psychology, Journal of Healthcare Leadership, Management and Research, Journal of Health Sciences and Practice, Journal of Early Childhood. We even have an early childhood program here, master's program, I believe it is. And she could match some of these because she apparently taught here and she got a degree from here. So I shared all of those with you just to see the wide array of opportunities that's there. Now I haven't gone into every one of them to see what the articles look like that's included in those journals. I do have a list of articles, and I'll share that with you, that are included in the global one that I'm doing. And we'll take a look at that in a minute. But there are 4 different steps to publishing in a journal, and it's advertised that once you submit, you can have your journal published in 1 month. Sometimes it may go a little bit longer because, these folks who are peer reviewers and so forth, they have their own jobs and whatever they're doing, and so I don't think Heather would stay on you about keeping to this timeline, because I've been contacted very nicely, to say, you got something online, so, maybe you probably want to go and take a look. And you do, and you get it done, sort of thing. So I'm pretty sure that 1 month business is pretty much adhered to. So you submit a manuscript for journal publication, and you'll see that 1 month is just stressed there, and present a webinar. So, and there's information on the site that will help you to know how to do that, when that needs to be done, and that sort of thing. Submit a manuscript for journal publication, and a virtual paper will be added to a designated future conference program with no presentation required. Conduct a presentation at a conference and submit a manuscript within 45 days after the conference for publication, or submit unlimited manuscripts for journal publications. Some of that initial process, I'm not familiar with the fine details of all of that and how that works. That's why I tried to make sure, or try to get Heather to be online with us today at this session to talk with you and to answer any questions. But any questions that you have, I will get them to her, or you can go to her direct and ask her about them if there's something of interest here to you. Because I'm not here today, and I know you well enough to say this, and if this room was full, I'd say the same thing. It may sound like I'm selling this thing, but it's just another opportunity to add to what you already do. Any questions on that I may be able to answer?
Well, you mentioned selling. What supports this from the publishers all say, well, I'd like to do that, but unless
I wanted to show you,
investment.
I need to get in there because you should see the folks that there's a page here. God, I must apologize for that to you. There's a page that have all of her supporters. She's, gosh.
So she gets support from organizations, apparently.
Yeah. Try this again. I know that part is right. I don't know, let me see. That might be right. Let's see, that's right. Oops. Should have brought it, I'm sorry. But anyway, there is a page, Mike, to answer your question, and there's a page where you can see all the different companies and organizations that support her. And it's growing all the time. And so there's no, like me, the editors or whatever, we're not getting paid or anything. We're just, we're just doing this as a volunteer. I can't speak for the others. I mean, this is a volunteer. And I don't know how long that will continue to be. I do it. I do what I do because I enjoy doing it. And it gives me another opportunity to explore some areas and to it's professional growth, I guess you could say, for me. Because then not only now am I reading dissertations, but I'm also reading critically the submissions for the journal, and that is interesting, to say the least.
Dolores, I don't want to go off on a different tangent, but in the meeting this morning, did they mention anything about grant proposal development?
Now that is in there. It's in there, and I don't know. Well, I didn't know I was going to talk about this, but then there are four different columns. The one column is about the areas of the 7 things that that's going on with Dr. Hanbury. Remember those? And it's really tied into that. So they're really trying to tie in that strategic plan with main campus. And then there's to talk about the different activities that can happen and how they can happen. And there is no timeline to the plan.
What meeting was this? Were we invited or not?
No. I think it was the people who hold administrative, some kind of...
The bigwigs.
No, we don't call ourselves bigwigs.
The wigs.
They're the wigs and they're the wigs.
We call you the 5th floor.
Oh, well, anyway, Mickey just said that she heard this presentation, right?
Yeah, Wells had pulled together a task force last week to work on some portions of that, particularly becoming more creative in what we offer and how we offer it. So.
And I'll bet you're going to the whole business with grants require a lot of research.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so grants, that's in there. So whoever's looking at the whole research piece, that would be part of it when it starts to get defined as to what it really is for Fishler.
And again, I don't want to sound like a naysayer or negative, because I'm really not pessimistic. But I recently received, there is an organization that provides, they pay for everything. They pay your hotel, your travel, everything. And they provide support for the pursuit of personnel preparation grants at the federal level. And for 2 years in a row, a team of us have requested to go, and we've been turned down. Because there's a perception, and I can't say this is widespread, among the fifth floor or them. But there's this perception that grants are too much work and not enough return. Well, that goes back to, again, when you present and you publish, your name is out there, not my name, Nikki McGuire, but NSU, Fischler School. That gets out in front of a lot of people, and you know, Mike, because you were at a research institution, once you get that grant cycle rolling, you're much more likely to be refunded and to expand that funding into other areas. You have to get your name in front of those folks. Because Iowa and Kansas, I mean, our two schools, I mean, they always get those grants, always. The research grants, the personnel prep, they're always at the top of the list. But you've got to get that cycle going, you know. And so I was kind of disappointed that we been turned down. Again.
Well, it looks like I'm hearing a lot of turned down business.
And like I said, I'm trying not to be negative, but it's just what I've been experiencing, and it's frustrating because this is where I'd like to spend most of my time.
If they asked us, we could, and they haven't, but some have offered, we could identify some of the institutional barriers to seeking external funding that make it more work with less return on your effort than there needs to be. It's almost like this place doesn't really want you to seek external funding. I mean,
Well.
seriously. And that's, no one would ever admit to that, but there are some institutional barriers. The most obvious to me is the concept of, salary savings, where if a professor writes a grant and the grant is funded and 50% of her salary is paid out of the grant, that 50% of the salary at Nova stays at the main campus. Doesn't come down to the Fischler School because the main campus pays your salary. So there is a disincentive for you to work on that grant, and a disincentive for the people you work with because they've got to replace 50% of your time and they're not getting the funding to replace you. So the concept of salary savings means that let's say 50% of your salary is $25,000. The $25,000 stays with the department or the local school, and you can go out and hire an adjunct for $5,000, and another $20,000 becomes salary savings that can be used for the things at the discretion of the institution. Those are some of the kinds of barriers that are in place right now that prevent both the institution and the individual from pursuing external funding. Nobody gives you a block of money to use as you want. There's always strings attached, and those strings are because they're giving you the money, so they want you to do things. And I don't think this institution gets it yet in terms of those kinds of barriers that are put in place, not because anybody's malicious, I just think they're naive. That's a terrible thing to say, too.
No, but I think that's a good observation. Because when you look at oceanography, I think like 85% of their funding is from grants. But they're left alone and they're all the way out there on the point of land.
Yeah, to do what they need to do, yeah. It's a lot that needs to be just talked about so that there's an understanding across the board. These are some of the ones, Mike, to come back to what you asked a few minutes ago. I was finally able to remember what it was. University of Alabama.
Well, how about that?
How about that? Some of these places in here I'm not familiar with.
So these are sponsors or supporters?
That support this whole thing. And you can see too where she's stretching out. So these things here weren't in there when we first started. So there's a growth to all of these areas here that she has down there. And you can see up here where the visitors have been to the site, and hence some type of interest at some level. Going here to this journal for a second.
While you're doing that, I want to connect back to what you guys were talking about with the dissertations. What a great opportunity for professors to collaboratively write with students so that the students get that experience and when they leave us, they've had that opportunity. They know how to go through this publishing process.
At the time, the last doctoral course that I taught, remember when we were asked to do the one for free? That was the last one that I taught. I had a wonderful, wonderful group of people. About half of them were from Malaysia, and then the other half, I had one, I think was in Russia, that was doing a project in Russia. Somebody was and they were so good. I mean, just the professionals that were in that group. It just does something to you as an instructor. And I was doing that then, and a few of them that I knew would be interested and were headed that way, I let them know about this opportunity here. I don't know if any of them ever took advantage of it, but they were in line with that. But that's sort of, when we first started off, that's where Heather was focusing on, so, you know, share this with professors so that professors can share this with their students, so that they know that they don't have to jump over 90 dozen hills to get themselves published. And it's, to my knowledge, very credible, because you do go through the peer review process. And I was going to look at that in just a few minutes. Look at what that looks like. So, so here's this one, the Journal of Globalization in Higher Education. And did it get to? I wanted to get to the ones that, okay. Here's the articles by the month, and I think this is the last one. Leading the cooperative learning organization as a means of managing and valuing diversity, internationalizing general education curriculum in communities, colleges, applying a communicative language approach to the teaching of Arabic in the U.S. I talk about that, something I was not familiar with at all. Leadership and the new global workforce. And you notice over here is where you click and you get the whole article. Academic freedom and tenure, protective or destructive to academe. Faculty attitudes toward research and writing at tribal colleges and universities, okay? Does tenure matter? A mixed method study, and you can already know that that's from a dissertation, right? Globalization, student satisfaction in studying abroad, internationalized courses, teaching and learning in higher education, making room for improvement, the internet as a pathway to globalizing education. Those are the ones that are included in the Journal of Globalization in Higher Education. Okay? And you know, again, it's just like for me, and it's just like the whole interest, the dissertation interest. You have a chance to keep learning and to be able to use your skills as you help someone else to get where it is that he or she wants to go. I wanted to go here, the peer review process. Oh, no, it's not going to make me do that again. Okay, I'll go over here. The e-learning institute has in place a rigorous integral refereeing process for manuscript evaluation. It utilizes the double-blind peer review process that negates any bias or prejudice. The peer review process also ensures that each manuscript selected for inclusion in a journal is fully vetted to ensure high-caliber research and writing. The peer reviewers are a vital part of the publication refereeing process. They are considered subject matter experts in their field and and work collaboratively with each journal editor throughout the process. Because we had to submit resumes, we had to submit a whole bunch of stuff that she wanted us to submit, so that, you know, she knew that, well, she had an idea that we could handle the project that was being given to us. So the peer reviewers then conduct unbiased reviews of submitted research articles for publication using a criterion reference peer review rubric, ensuring quality, substance, rigor, effectiveness, and application. To ensure accountability and a checks and balance system, the Institute requires a refereeing process comprised of the following steps. The authors submit the articles for publication. The author registers for the conference webinar of his or her choosing. The author completes 2 blind reviews of the work submitted by other authors in the same discipline and subject matter. And the editor is responsible for coordinating that whole process. We're expected to use the peer review rubric and return completed peer reviews within 2 weeks of receipt from the editor. Once the 2 reviews are completed, the author's reviewed manuscript is returned with a publication decision. We've just looked at that journal, and we have looked. We've looked at the manuscripts that are included in there, so we won't go over those again. And since I was going to, right here with this slide, I was going to look at some other areas on the site itself, but you'll have an opportunity to do that at your own leisure. I just don't want to monopolize the time here, but you can go through here and see really what is there. The membership look like, and also there's e-books. Somebody may be interested in that. There's an opportunity to publish through there your books electronically. And coming to the close of this, I would ask you if you have any other questions or comments. Something that you need more clarity on, and maybe as you're thinking about that, let me just ask you, what do you think of this opportunity?
Well, this is great stuff. I mean, publishing is seen as such a trial by fire. It's so troubling, it's so beyond my capabilities. And there are so many opportunities that most of us don't think about. This is an excellent way to get started. And I think it's wonderful that we participate in these things. It's exactly what we're supposed to do in higher education. Back to a comment also, we talked about tenure, having to publish to get tenure, get promoted. There's 2 ways to look at that. One is, gosh, I have to do it. The other is, gosh, I'm going to be tenured because I do it. And it's so important. And I wonder what would happen around here if we required people to publish.
That's the question that I really wanted to ask today. And I know that we won't.
Well,
What do you think would happen?
well, I think we should.
What do you think would happen next?
Well, I think you'd have a lot of people, starting at the 5th floor on down, who would think that was just totally inappropriate.
Because they didn't sign on for that.
Well, that's what everybody says. When I came here, this is just a teaching university, and that's malarkey. We all have to be flexible, for crying out loud. We all have to recognize that what we're hired for today is not what we're going to be expected to do tomorrow. This is
I got the impression that we were going in that direction. When I met with
Which direction?
earlier in the way, requiring.
Well, I don't think that will ever happen. Not ever. It's not going to happen for a while.
Even if it doesn't happen for a while, I think the thinking is there. Because when I met with him for my review, without my prompting, that's something that he brought up and spoke about. And he was comparing Fishler and our practices here to some of the other schools within the university, and wanting us to be more aligned with what they were doing. And he himself encouraged me to start getting into writing and publishing and doing stuff, because he said that's where he wants to go, because of course here we do the continuous, what do you call it? Or what we consider tenure. It's a continuing contract.
Oh, continuing
So those
contract.
who are offered continuing contracts, that's something that they're gonna start having them do, to provide some kind of portfolio to show what they've been doing throughout the year. So, if it's not
How did
already
you feel
done,
about that when you told you?
how do I?
How did you feel about it when you told you?
I was fine with it, and I'm doing it, and it's something that I think should be done, so I had no problem.
I keep thinking back to the article that Dolores spoke about earlier about getting stuck, particularly in this very difficult day.